Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Blackout Test Podcast. I am your host, Rod, joined as always by my lady,
Karen.
That's right. And I just turned up the volume. Hopefully this doesn't mess up anything later. And we are live and ready to do some podcasting. You can always hang out with us live on crowdcast.io. And we have a chat room and we read what people are saying, and people have their own jokes and relationships and all kinds of great stuff going on in there. And we're always happy to see the community come together like that. Okay. Crowdcast.io, just search the Blackout Tips or TVGWT and follow us, and then you'll get emails and updates, and you can come in here and hang out with us live and listen to music before we start the show and get to know each other. It's cool. Of course, this is a Wednesday, which means it's a recap episode. We're recapping House of the Dragon on HBO, or House of Dragons as the Negro parlance goes. You can always leave us feedback and stuff by emailing us, and we read it on Saturdays when we do our feedback show. So the real fans know they've been getting, that feedback for a couple weeks now. But for those that, y'all whack ass niggas that only listen to this one episode and be like, I don't need any other black opinions the rest of the week. y'all know what it is.
You're missing out.
So let's start with the ground rules. If you do decide to write in with some feedback, all we ask is no spoilers, no theories. Yes, you read the book. Yes, you watched all the heavy spoilers and nerd Easter egg podcasts. We not those shows. We're not going to tell you what happened to somebody's great great granddaddy. We don't know. Do not care.
Ain't that the truth? Nope, don't care.
If it's relevant to the show, it'll be in the show. It'll come. It'll be important to the plot at some point. We're just here to have fun, and we want y'all to have fun too. And the other update I wanted to put, like, disclaimer before we start. I think I speak for everybody here. I haven't cleared this with Karen, but the audience, me and Karen, and probably every other person that does a Game of Thrones related anything. No, we are not okay with incest or rape. Okay, everybody. I know that's a controversial opinion to have on this show. But guys, we do not like incest or rape. Okay, we're not fans of it in real life. We want R. Kelly go to jail. We're not cool with pedophilia, any of that type of stuff.
So that's what they was arguing about.
Well, I just feel like everybody that does this recap thing has to do this. Like, I'm disgusted. Is that not the default? Everybody in 2022, are there the people that's like, yes, incest scene? We all are disgusted. I just think it goes without saying. I would like to say it up front because I'm not going to do that during the episode when we do the recap, because the assumption is that that's not a controversial statement. This is pretend. I'm also not okay with disemboweling people with swords, dragons eating people, stuff like that. So
people to crabs.
Right, exactly. We're in the land of make-believe. Let's act accordingly, guys. We knew it was make-believe before we started. Okay, they got actors, they got intimacy coordinators and all that stuff. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make jokes about it. But I just want you to understand that's not us saying, like, in real life, these things are okay. And I hate to even make that disclaimer, but, I see that discussion happening again with the show. And it's like, who the fuck are these people? Stop watching.
Okay, yeah. Yes, I'm going to be nice and keep my comments to myself. I think that's what I'm going to do right now, because my mind is just racing with all types of things, because the thing is, everything is make-believe. Everything about this is make-believe, and everything is optional. You don't have to be here.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm like, it ain't the number one rated show for no reason. It didn't break the records for no reason. All these other networks that came out with all these other things that were similar to it don't get the same ratings. So, like other things I've said, people are lying. You people really do enjoy these things. And
it's just interesting because it's make believe. It's like how whenever we do our annual Pornhub review thing where they post an annual, like, this is what people are watching, and on our podcast we'll break it down for like 20 minutes or so. And it's always interesting because all the categories at the top are the most repulsive, fucked up ones, and yet they're the highest rated. People watch them the most.
Correct.
People are attracted to what they're repulsed by, even if it's because especially when it's not real, when it's make believe.
Correct.
So I just think that's just keeping that in mind. I just don't want to have to, like, this feels like one of those episodes where everyone that feels the need to write in and be like, guys, I was disgusted by the guys. They're not real. They're not real. We're all disgusted. You're not special. You're not better than anybody. Let's just leave the default at you're disgusted. I only write in if you're not disgusted. Honestly, those are the people that I want to be like, maybe you need some help. If you're like, oh man, boy, so much incest, couldn't get a hold of myself. Like, everybody else, yes, we get it. I don't want 37 emails. All right, let's get to the recap though. Okay, you ready to get started?
Mm-hmm.
Not too much, don't want to get sued. All right, let's get into this recap, everybody. This episode was called King of the Narrow Sea. And Damon brought his narrow ass up in there wearing a crown. Karen, we'll start as we always start. What'd you think about this episode?
This episode was good.
It was good?
Mm-hmm. It was very enjoyable. I think last week was a battle, so it was like a really high. And this is not a low, but it's kind of like you're coming off of the high. You're kind of just seeing the aftermath of that. So it is still good. Don't get me wrong, but it's a different kind of good.
Okay. For me, I enjoyed this episode as well. I think they're really knocking this out the park to start. But there was a lot of like background foreshadowing, consequences, political intrigue type of stuff. This was a lot like there was no violence and action, like heavy scenes really. There was like one violent thing that happened really, like physically murdering somebody, but everything else was just kind of like, oh, I felt like that black lady in the scene, in the scene that I'm gonna describe later, where I was just like, oh snap, like that's how I felt the whole episode.
This what we doing?
But yeah. Also, I noticed with the title, it's another title about Damon. I think the first one is The Rogue Prince. The second one is something like Second Sons or something like that. This one is King of the Narrow Sea. This is another title about Damon. Damon is low-key kind of, I don't know if you call him a protagonist, I guess maybe even an antagonist, but he's a big part of this show.
Yes. Yes,
so,
and he's not gonna easily go away.
Yeah, exactly. Like they keep, yes, heirs of the dragon, the Rogue Prince, second of his name, King of the Narrow Sea. Just kind of an interesting thing I noticed. Anyway, let's get into the breakdown. This is a straightforward one, meaning it'll be long because there's lots of details, but it's no skipping around in the timeline or locations. Pretty much everything happens in chronological order.
Right.
And that's how we're going to do it. So Rhaenyra is, or Ray Ray, as they call her on Twitter, I saw. Ray is choosing. She is started her courtship and it's a tour. Like she's going
she on the world tour.
Yeah, city to city, bring all the men's, and bring them dressed in their finest, and then have them tell me why I should pick them.
Come on, it's raining, man.
Right. And so she's accepted applications for husbands. She decided not to go with Indeed.
Right. She was like, you know what? I'm going to sort through them myself. I don't need to pay somebody to do the sorting for me.
She's still wearing the chain that her uncle gave her, which I think is kind of like a wink, wink, nod, nod thing. And she's bored as hell, despite all these men wearing their finest robes to impress her. One dude, Lord Dondarrion, who is just sitting up there like, the moats at my castle are the finest moats and with the best alligators.
Right. And he was old as shit. You know what? I'm not trying to be funny. I didn't even think that he was actually up there because he was on the list. I was like, who is this old man about to introduce somebody young?
I did too. But it turned out it was him. And he was so old, he needed some wine just to clear his throat. Like he was like, oh, and on a sunny day. You know what? Excuse me for a second.
Excuse me. Pardon me. And Rhaenyra was like, yeah, old man, I'm young. You kind of old here. Why's your old ass in here? And she started making jokes and, asking him questions. He was like, yeah, that was 50 years ago. And she was like, and that's the point. Like,
yeah, she asked him, and my great grandmother, how beautiful was she? Is she as beautiful as they say? And he's like, your grace, that's 50 years ago. She's like, exactly, nigga, you old. Swipe left.
Don't want you.
So she swiped left on his ass, and it was somebody Baratheon. I'm sure one of the ancestors of Robert Baratheon, but it was somebody Baratheon that was like holding the court for her. Like, he was like, that was kind of rude, princess. And she was like,
okay. I was like, who the hell is this nigga beside her?
Yeah, he only had like one line. And she was like, whatever, nigga. Next.
Right, he old.
So then they bring up this kid. And this show, listen, the Royals put their kids on the stroll quite early.
They don't be can.
So
they like, you know what? Is your head above the stove? Can you reach the pot? Can you put water in there and turn the stove on and cook it? If you can, you old enough to get out here.
This kid,
and get the fucking.
This kid looked like season 1 Stranger Things kid. Like, he was that young, and he had a sword that looked like it was half the size of his body.
Right.
And so she immediately starts laughing at him, which is kind of funny, and it reminds you of, at least for boys, I'm sure, it reminds you of high school when like girls were dating, college freshmen or high school seniors from other schools, and you was like, but we both 15, and they looking at you like, nigga, your 15 is not my 15.
Right.
Because like they could have been almost the exact same age, but that little boy, she laughed at him like, whose man is this? And he was mocked by another suitor in the crowd named Bracken.
Mm-hmm. He was talking that shit.
And listen, if you haven't realized it, if you haven't seen the memes or whatever, if you do watch this show, you have HBO, go back, watch this scene specifically again, because there is a black woman actress that has no lines,
none.
But when I tell you she stole the motherfucking show, she stole. Listen, there are no small parts, okay? She stole the show. There's like, she was me. I was her. She is us. We are us. It was amazing how she was like, oh, this is a mess. Lord, check you out. Like, it was so fucking good, man.
Yes, he was there giving that little boy the dozen, cracking all the jokes.
Yeah, he was like, I will, because apparently his family go way back. They got a big army. They help like her granddad secure, like, win the war stuff. And the hating ass dude was like, oh, you helped to win the war. I bet that was tough. And the kid tried to go through it, but then eventually Rhaenyra was like, nah, that's enough. Let's get to the next one. So
like
I can get
kid brother.
Yeah, let me get one more before we can, get to so we can get to supper. Like, we do one more before supper or whatever. And this Bracken dude was like, oh, she gonna be under your protection? The princess has a dragon, you dumb cunt.
Yes.
And then Ray was like, he's funny. I kind of like him. But before anything else can happen, the kid goes, okay, I'm gonna walk away. But Bracken had to get one more insult in.
Yeah, because he was gonna walk away.
And he said, Craven. And my man said, that's a motherfucking enough.
What that mean?
Craven, like thirsty. Like, okay. You thirsty son of a bitch. Like, look at you. Contemptibly lacking in courage or cowardly.
Okay, he was
a coward. Like, it can mean like cowardly in that way. In this way, I don't think he necessarily meant it as him being a coward, but I know they families got beef going way back or some shit. So maybe he meant cowardly in some other way. But whatever happened,
it was really insulting.
Yeah,
he turned around like, "What you say about my mama?"
Yes,
and I was like, "Well, damn!"
Like, as soon as that shit happened, it was like 2:30 a.m. at the club, and this shit came on.
It was like,
Rhaenyra was like,
I think that's my cue to leave. It's about to get crunk up in here.
These niggas fighting. It's about to go down. Like,
I'm surprised somebody didn't say, y'all scaring the hoes.
Yes, it felt.
Don't scare the hoes.
It's like, why come we can't have nothing? That's the goodness of being white. Because if it was like black people, there had to be one old black man that come in like, this is why we can't do things, or whatever. And but with white people, it's just like, well, that's Tuesday.
Right. I guess I be hoes because I'm scared and it's time for me to leave.
So yeah, Rhaenyra said we need to get the fuck out of here.
And her and security was like, let's go.
Yeah, and as they in the background, as where they were leaving, we see young Blackwood caught a body. He killed Bracken.
Yeah, he was like, I hope you didn't think I came up here and didn't have no hands. Like you cracking jokes and shit, but this soil through your body.
We need to see him again. I hope that little boy make it. I hope he can be like little Lady Mormont from the first Game of Thrones. He was about that light. Say, what you say about my mama? And just stabbed this man straight through the chest.
He was like, I hope you didn't think I was bullshit when I said I could protect her. Like, I didn't come out way up here and say them big words for nothing, sir.
Right. So then, of course, Kristen is like, Sir Kristen's with her. And she's like, listen, I'm ready to go home. And he said, but we supposed to go to another town 3 days from now. She was like, yeah, whatever. I'm wrapping it up. I've seen all the men's that I want to see.
She was like, look, it's enough of this wish list.
So then they get on the ship and head back. Shout out to the timing with the show. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And on the ship back, she talks to Sir Kristen and she's like, you think my dad gonna be mad that, and he said, well, it depends. What you mean? Mad at the fact that you swipe left on every nigga in the country, or you mean mad at the fact that you wrapped up the tour 2 months before you were supposed to, so we showing up early?
2 whole months. We supposed to be here for 90 days. You wrapped this shit up in 30.
Like, we showing up early and you ain't got no niggas. So like,
right.
Which part do you think he, it's a really rhetorical question.
Yeah, it's like, he's not going to be happy about this.
So then Bloodworm, that's motherfucking Damon's dragon, flies by the ship. The ship is like right close to pulling up at King's Landing. Flies by the ship enough that the wind from his flying knocks the ship ajar a little bit and knocks Rhaenyra to the ground. Like, she bumped her head and shit, like, ouch. And I gotta say, Daemon and his dragon are exactly the kind of uncle that plays too much.
Right. He was out here drunk dragon and shit, and the dragon can't fly straight, and I think he purposely did that.
Yeah, I think he did it on purpose too. I don't think he was on it, but just the dragons are like the direwolves. They're a reflection of the personality of the riders and stuff. And it just felt like he is the uncle that played too rough. He put you in the figure four and shit till you almost pass out, and then like your daddy got to come on and be like, go ahead, leave him alone. What you doing?
Right.
But Viserys is in the throne room, the king, with his crown on and his good clothes, and he holding his sword, so it's an official something.
Yeah, something official happening.
They start allowing people into the room, and Rhaenyra hides among them.
And I was like, I don't know how good you think you gonna hide with all them fine clothes on. People gonna spot you, like, you, because of her hair and like who she is, unless you like come in there covered up with a hat on or some shit. People gonna know you there.
Yeah, I think she was hiding from her dad because she wasn't supposed to be back that soon. And just didn't
just kind of blending with the crowd.
Right, because it was like 50, 60 people in there. So she just like made sure to stand to the back and shit so that she didn't have to, like, I guess, have him see that she was there already. But it's not like a true hiding, because like, it's more like, I don't want to make eye contact. So then Daemon comes in wearing a crown with a hammer. And he done cut his hair.
Come on, I got the haircut.
Done took out the weave. He is feeling himself. Swinging the hammer, comes in. It's the crab feeder's hammer that he used to spike all them people to the wood.
He coming out here like a woman that's getting ready to change her life. I dropped that man.
Right. Yeah. Like a black woman in a rom-com. He has cut his hair and changed everything. Now, so Ray moves through the crowd, shadowing him as he moves. Like, they don't make eye contact, but she like walks as he walks towards the throne. A Kingsguard points his sword at Damon's chest, like, hey, nigga, back up. What the fuck? You got a hammer, you approaching the crown? Because remember, last time he was there, the king had told him, like, don't you fucking come back here, nigga. I hate you. And he also was mad that he didn't get to be the king. So, everyone's anticipating that this dude is going to come and be like, it's my crown, bitch. I should be on the throne. I got my throne. I won a war by myself out of spite. I got the hammer of the dude that was talking that shit. I'm wearing a crown. So, everybody wants to see what he has to say. But Once the sword is at his chest, he stops and then he throws the hammer down on the ground, and says, "Add it to the chair." So, that's him saying, like, this, because they add the conquered people's, like, leaders' weapons to the throne room. And Viserys is like, "Why you wearing a crown? You think you the king? Is that what's up? You about to say some bullshit about you the real king?" And he says, "Nah,
No.
the people name me king of the narrow seas, but there's only one true king." And he takes a knee and takes off his, and bows down before Viserys and takes off the crown. And he says, the stepstones belong to Viserys now. And Lord Otto is in the background hating.
Oh man, hate.
Yeah.
I hate you. I hate you.
Yeah, he's in the background like, I'll drop a dime on them niggas. I don't like that shit. Like,
he was
like,
not happy.
Yeah, I hate you. I hate all the good things. Yeah, he just really had that, like, like, I can't stand this nigga. And I really think Otto was hoping that Daemon would be his typical braggadocious self that ends up getting kicked out or starting some type of shit. Because even if, like, he just don't like that. He can't stand that nigga. And so anyway, he fucking goes like, "All right, man. Look, you the real king. All right, buddy. I don't want no smoke. I'm here because of you." And he says, "Well, then where Corlys at?" Like, Viserys like, where Corlys at?
Yeah, where your man?
Yeah, like, that's,
y'all started this war. Why didn't y'all come up here together?
Exactly. And he said, well, he sailed back home to Driftmark. And the king's like, "Well, then who the fuck is running the Stepstones?" And he was like, "The Tides, the Crabs, 2,000 dead soldiers staked to the stand."
That's who holding it down.
Like, and that is something they've said in the show more than once. Just nobody can control that area of the map. Nobody wants it. Nothing really grows there. So apparently that's like the ghetto of fucking Westeros or whatever. So nobody, it's like motherfuckers fight over it, but then as soon as it's done fighting, they're like, yeah, man, y'all can have it.
Yeah, I don't want this. I can't grow nothing here.
So Viserys accepts the crown from his brother, and then he embraces him. And Otto is just in the background like, I know these niggas not being friends.
Yeah, I could see his brother doing that because his brother wrote him that letter. So I was like, yeah, his heart has softened. Like, now if he'd have came in there wild and out, it'd have been a problem. But because he came and kneeled and showed respect, the king, because he images something to him, he would have looked like an ass for just being just cruel and mean to him if he basically bowed down to him.
Yeah, and I think because the show is doing these time skips, it's been 4 years since they've seen each other, so this is like maybe Daemon chilled out, Although to me, still Tupac from Juice. Don't trust him. Don't help the scorpion.
Don't trust him, girl.
Yeah, don't help the scorpion cross the river. Okay. So then they throw. They decide to go ahead and throw a cookout afterwards. So they go out to the backyard. Everybody's back there.
Yeah, the king like himself a good 3-day party. He'll just give the king a reason to throw a party. Having a baby, throw a party. Getting married, throwing a party.
Baby's second birthday,
throwing a party.
Let's have a 5-day luau.
Come on, throwing a party. Jousting, throwing a party.
And you got to keep in mind, like, this goes to my theory that he got the dragon sugars, because we've seen him eat nothing but sweets and high carb meals.
Come on,
for weeks straight, and then every week he losing another finger. Every time we see him, it's Big Mama, your arm, like every time. So I feel like I'm on to something with this. So
throwing all them parties,
right? So then they go out to the backyard, and they don't have to worry about eating the food because the woman with the dog that ate off her plate is not there. So y'all want to eat the potato salad, go ahead and dig in this time. So then Rhaenyra sees Daemon, Viserys, and Alicent, and Daemon and Viserys are just like yucking it up like old times. It's like, oh no, man, remember when you snuck out the house and then mama said da 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 da? You know, you was mama's favorite. You know, like they're reminiscing and making merry and all that stuff and happy to be making
y'all know
up.
how old folks do, and y'all sit there and you just talking about shit. And you like, oh.
And especially when you're talking to a very young wife, she don't know your mama. She don't remember none of this.
She who them people?
Right. Like you got to explain everything to her.
Mm-hmm.
That's back down when they had the Piggly Wiggly. Okay. Now I used to go to the store. My grandmama used to give me 75 cents. She said, give me a pack of Goody powders and a Pepsi.
You don't know nothing about that girl.
And I said, grandmama, now you know they ain't gonna let me get in the cigarette machine. You know, like that's how they was talking.
Yes, they was.
Allison was just looking like, yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. So then Rhaenyra comes over and thanks Daemon on his victory, much to the chagrin of her father, who, you know, sent all those troops that didn't get used because he won it on his own, and it's a sore spot. Also, she ain't supposed to be there.
Right. That's what he looked up going, what you doing here?
Yeah, like what the fuck are you even doing here? And you know you ain't come back with no man. You cut your shit back 2 months short. Like what the fuck, man?
I'm paying all these expenses for what?
Yeah, it's like, man, you don't never do nothing I say. So then Allison asked, would Daemon like a tour of the gallery? Because it's been 4 years since he was there, and they got some new decorations. And Viserys clowns her. He's like, would you like a tour of the gallery? No, you dumb bitch. Okay, I don't know why you even talk. You know, it was so bad. And it's a reminder.
Very disrespectful.
And it's a reminder of like she is not an equal to him.
No.
Like he might be a quote unquote nice king, or weak, depending on how you view him. But he's still a man of his time. And unlike his original wife, there hasn't been this confidant / equal relationship. And she is essentially just here for me to make babies. And she's nice. And I'm not going to be overtly mean to her. I'm not going to abuse her or anything, but I don't care or love this woman in that way.
Yeah, you can tell like he's like, I don't really like his wife. He loved her.
Right. And so this is one of those things I kept talking about when we bring up Allison, where I'm like, and this episode, such a great job of illustrating exactly what I've been saying, which is Allison is not this mean, conniving, manipulative, power hungry woman that people want her to be so they can hate her.
No.
Like, I don't think any character on this show has been quote unquote perfect, but she's been pretty fucking close. Like, as far as trying to make the best of bad situations.
Yeah, and also her and Rhaenyra are somewhat in the same situation. A little different, but somewhat in the same situation. They both feel trapped in some way.
Yeah.
They both are trying to navigate this thing with their fathers and things like that. And one is just being obedient, the other one's being rebellious, but they're both, you know, in them and their purpose and their relationship all ties back to a man.
Yeah, she may have her time of acting in ways that people would like her to act so they can hate this character. That may happen, you never know, every week, but as of yet, she's had several instances to completely betray Rhaenyra, to completely betray the crown, to just power hungrily try to get her own child on the throne, to completely be the pawn of her father. She's even fought back against her father's
several times.
Like he'll say that shit, but then when she gets in private, she will not say what he told her to say. She'll be like, no, let me just say the truth as I think, you know.
And she spoke up on behalf of Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra is so
Rhaenyra,
I'm sorry, is so into herself that she's not even listening or seeing what she's actually doing.
Every other character's had a worse showing than she's had so far. But you know, I think in good writing at some point she will have a selfish or some type of thing, but just because everyone else has. But I don't know. The people that hate her are red flags to me. Like, I'm just like, oh, something's wrong with you. Okay, cool. But yeah, so Ray says, I'd like to see the new decorations. And the king is like, yeah, you should go do that then. And she was like, I guess I'll go by myself. But she doesn't go on any tour. She walks off. And
she walks down like 3 feet and sit down.
Yeah, she kicks a can.
Right?
Goes, oh,
shit. Kicking rocks and shit. Mad.
Picks up a stick, starts poking mud. Like she was just walks off like, oh shoot. And then Daemon eyes her walking off with affection yet again, going all the way back from episode 1 when he gave her that fucking necklace.
He looks so creepy.
So creepy. So then Allison comes to sit with her, with Ray, and says, I guess the tour didn't go too well because you ain't got a man and you came back early. And Ray was like, it was miserable. It's the worst thing ever. And Allison was like, oh, it's the worst being able to pick from all these motherfucking niggas that want to fuck you. Oh no. Oh, it must be the worst. The most women in our fucking lifetime don't even get to pick from 2 men.
Right. Don't get a choice.
Yeah, you just gotta go with whoever. Like, you know, they marry me off the old bag of bones ass daddy humping away at me like Mr. Did ceiling.
Right.
And you mad you can't just fly away on your dragon and be a warrior, girl? Get over yourself. And then she was like, Ray was like, girl, these niggas don't want me. Shorty. They want the crown and these babies. They don't give a damn. And Rhaenyra's like, Allison's like, I think it's rather romantic. And Rhaenyra's like, listen, I'm deleting the app. Okay.
No more Tinder for me.
I'm off there. Okay. How romantic is it to get imprisoned in a castle and made to squeeze out heirs? And it was one of the moments. It was one of the moments that got a little too close to the truth, a little too awkward.
Yeah, because she felt bad. She was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that.
It was exactly Allison's position. And
she was like, that shit don't sound like fun, dog.
And she literally did say sorry.
Yeah, right. Because she felt bad kind of after it came out. But it's one of those things where she was like, that does not sound like a good time.
She's not wrong.
No.
Okay, but it's just that she has been shitting on Allison for years under the auspices of like, clearly you think you love this shit. You just got it all made. And then in that one moment, she accidentally stumbled on the like, oops, empathy.
And you know what I'm just not thinking about? One reason why I think a lot of people dislike, I want to say Allison is that she's similar to Sansa. She's girly. She likes wearing dress. She believes in like love. You know, she she's like, I am all woman. And people will not admit this, but they kind of reminds them of Sansa to an extent. Because that's how Sansa was presented to us, kind of boy crazy and things like that.
I guess in this case, yes. I mean, it's definitely the person that chooses the dress is the feminine and the bad, right?
Correct.
That like you can't take that away. But also, I think people are really trained to like the first person the camera shows them, they're like, that's the good guy. You know, it's like how people watch Breaking Bad for years and never go, oh, Walt's kind of a piece of shit. Like is like the camera showed me that's a good person. I want all the good things to happen for them. Everybody else is wrong. And so this episode was probably the most quote unquote wrong Rhaenyra was acting. Not that she was completely terrible, but we saw like, oh, she does wild shit sometimes. And I think some of that takes some of the juice out of the squeeze for shitting on Allison, but
right, because she actually has to deal with her own things too. And like I said, it's one of those things where people see a woman and for a lot of people in even real life, you automatically think buzzkill. Because that's how a lot of women are kind of written, you know, regardless of kind of what's happening around them. It's like something traumatic has to happen, like with Sansa and the rape, for people to go, oh shit. And it's like, well, they've been presenting all these other things to you, but nobody thought these things were significant enough to give this person any form of sympathy or compassion.
Yeah. So Rhaenyra apologizes, and then Allison says, I'm lonely. I'm glad you home just because I have no friends. Nobody sees me as Lady Allison. They see me as the queen.
Right. So she don't know who to trust.
So when you look at like the age thing, when you look at the fact that she has no real power. She's not sitting at the table. Her father really just only wants her to advocate for having her son on the throne. But other than that, he has no use for her. He doesn't care about how she's feeling or any of the shit. He never has shown any level of concern for her. Her duty is to the realm, and the duty is to squeeze out these babies. And so Rhaenyra
didn't give her a choice.
Rhaenyra says she misses her too. And then they squeeze hands.
Everyone falls.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about. They were so making up. Yes, because I was like, y'all are friends. Why is we fighting?
Because it really does make me sad to see, like, when people take quote unquote sides in this shit.
Right.
It's for people like this that are clearly both pawns in the game, and they're both trying to find ways to like either cope or escape their fates. They don't want this life. Like if they had their druthers, that this is not what they would have chosen, you know. But people just make it seem like they're just out being evil or something. So then Ray goes to see her Uncle Damon, and they start talking in High Valyrian because that's how they do. And she's like, "Why did you leave Dragonstone? You was quite comfortable up there." And I know you up to something. Like you ain't just come back just to stunt in your brother's face with, "Oh, I won the war."
Right. And
then he touches her necklace he gave her and says he only wants the comforts of home. And then she says,
nobody believe that.
Yeah. And then he goes to sit down, and she comes over and says, maybe this seemed like the war and all this stuff you did, it changed you. Maybe you like more mature or something. And he's like, I ain't the only one that's matured in these 4 years.
Creepy.
Temperatures rising.
Oh no!
Right. And so
age ain't nothing but a number.
Right. He says you'll get used to the attention. Now she is 18 now. So I guess like 18, 19, somewhere around there. So I guess even in our realm, she's legal now. So this is only like Leonardo DiCaprio creepy. Okay, this isn't, this isn't R. Kelly creepy anymore. So y'all don't go see his Leo's movies. It's y'all fault. She likes she don't get mad at me for telling the truth. She likes the attention, but she's like, I don't like the rest, the obligation, the having babies, the political marriages. As she says, her dad is just trying to sell off to the biggest castle, and Damon's like, it's worth shit to be sold for. Because he's like, listen, I bought Missaria for motherfucking four pence, okay?
Right. I didn't spend a lot.
I owned that woman for a long time. You got to understand. And he says marriage is only a political arrangement. Once you get married, you can just do whatever the fuck you want to do, because that's what he do.
Right.
But then she brought up, for a man, duh.
Right.
Like as a woman, she was like, it's basically a death sentence. As he said, shit, I wish it was a death sentence. I've been rid of my bronze bitch ages ago. I bet she's not even ugly.
Well, I think we're gonna eventually see her, because they keep sending his ass home. He ain't made it home yet, but I think this time he really gonna go home, and we're gonna see that woman.
Yeah, it just feels like it feels like Damon feels like a 1980s, 1990s stand-up comedian when it comes to his wife.
Women, am I right?
Like, well, I ain't that ugly, bitch. like all his, like he is just so fucking. You know
how
mean.
Women do. Women be shopping. It's guys.
Like,
am I right?
It's like Married with Children, when Al Bundy hated Peg, thought she had an ugly fat butt and would never want to have sex with her. But in real life, everybody that tuned in that show was like, wait, the woman with the big titties and the red hair is
right, in the small waist, right?
You don't? That's not good enough for you? That's ugly? Oh, okay. So it feels like that whenever he goes into this, like, my bronze bitch. Am I right, everybody? That's right. Oh, bitches be ugly, don't they?
Don't forget to tip your waitress.
Yeah. And she says, your wife been lucky. You didn't even put a baby in her. And he was like, probably because a baby couldn't survive in them horrible environments. I'm saying she's ugly, everybody. She's ugly. She said, "Where you going, Damon?" I said, "Bitch, to the moon." You be careful.
I'm here with these I love Lucy jokes.
Right. My wife's so ugly. You know that.
How ugly is she?
So she says, "Listen, my mom was made to produce babies until it killed her.
Right.
And I'm not gonna subject myself to the same fate." And I said, remember that. These are key moments. These are things I keep bringing up. I think that matters a lot. I think of the things that could really truly make her not the heir, that's number one with a bullet. Like, I think she's already done enough shit that if her father wasn't the father he is, he would have been said, "You ain't the heir."
Agreed.
Just because she don't want to be the heir unless it's exactly in the way she would like, which unfortunately this ain't 2022. You can't end the royal bloodline, you know.
Right.
And they can't, and it's better for you to either get out of the way or you need to play the game. If you're gonna be in the way, then you just become contentious for the bloodline and for succession, and someone else will vie for the seat and take it over or start a war or something, because they looking at you going, "She ain't got no man, she ain't having no babies. What the fuck is going on with the bloodline? I'm taking over the throne."
Right.
And of course the realm is what's gonna happen when she dies, and is she weak and all this shit. So he then says, "Look, it's sad what happened to your mama, but the world is sad. But you can't miss out on life because you scared, girl. You got to get out in these streets." And she said, "I have no desire to live in fear, only solitude." And he says in English, "Such a lonely prospect." Then we fast forward to the next conference meeting. Ray is actually sitting at the table with the men, not getting the drinks.
Right. I was like, "Oh, word."
Them 4 years she done came up.
She done made her way to the table.
She still ain't allowed to speak probably, but she's at the table.
I feel like this. She went from pouring coffee to taking notes.
Okay. What did Solange tell her she wanted? A seat at the table. Okay. So she got it.
She got the table. She did.
So then Tyler.
Yeah, but she probably ain't got no ball to check in.
Right. She probably ain't got no.
She ain't got no name tag yet.
She got a marble. She got a little ball.
Yes.
So then Tyler Lannister is telling everybody that Corlys still hot about them passing over that marriage with Lady Lena. Like, you married Allison instead of Lady Lena, and that nigga stormed out and started a war, and he ain't came back to work since.
Right? He was like, "Oh, that's my last day." You want to know what happened to me? I quit. Right.
And of course, my man Grand Meister.
So he been gone for 4 years then.
Yeah, he been gone for 4 years. Yeah, 3 of them was the war though. But even after the war, he didn't come back.
Yeah, he was like, "Why am I going back?"
And so Viserys is like, "I know this nigga ain't still mad. That shit was 4 years ago." And Grandmaster Mellos is like, "Well, he is a very uppity Negro, Your Grace. He's overly prideful, if you know what I mean." And
wink,
I think you know what I mean when I say that, okay?
He's one of them darkest. Wink, wink.
Yeah, you know, like,
come on. So calling them thugs, just call them niggers. Just call them niggers.
That's how I felt. This is one of the hard parts about race bending, okay? Because I felt it. Black people felt it. I know I'm not alone. He was like, "He's overly prideful, Your Grace." I was like, oh, the black man overly prideful? Everybody at this motherfucking table's overly prideful, Grandmaster Mellos.
Come on, everybody at the table. How did you get here?
So Corlys has engaged in negotiations to marry his daughter to the Sea Lord of Bravo's son. So the free cities and are the people that's like outside the kingdom and shit, and they're like, "We run our own shit, leave us alone." But they be having like slavery and shit over there and blah blah blah. So the Sea Lord of Bravos is a big time dude who's not necessarily beholden to the crown. And so Corlys,
just fresh off of winning a war.
Yeah, well, Corlys is the sea snake. The Sea Lord of Bravos is another nigga. So
a completely
he's marrying his daughter off to this dude, forming like a huge alliance of a big ass shipping lane and navy and all this stuff. I see
what you're saying, right?
And so of course this is a threat to the crown. It's like these niggas consolidating power,
and it's gonna be a problem. That's like Amazon out here getting up with Google,
right?
Hooking up with Hulu and Netflix, and they like, you know what? We taking over everything. And what you gonna do? nothing but just pay for this house cable bill.
It is interesting that right. It is interesting that they don't do that in real life. Like Jeff Bezos' kids not marrying like Facebook kids, you know?
Right.
Because that shit would change the game. We'd be like, oh, they brought this back?
What?
We all the way back to feudalism?
Right. Where did Google kid come from? I didn't know it was a Google kid. We'd be confused.
But anyway, I mean, maybe they really trying to make it happen, but it's not happening right now anymore. But anyway, so yeah, that means that the crown needs its own marriage pact with the Valerians.
Right, because they would deceive too.
Right, but not just that, but to shore up allegiances, like so that he's not being like, oh, it's we repping Bravos now, son. This is, you know, like they got to go over there and be like, no. Now look, the heir to the throne, my daughter marries your son, Lenore, and it's like y'all, they both kind of heir to the throne. He'll be the king. They'll be on the ruler together, and so that's an obvious solution. And then everyone just looks at Rhaenyra's single ass sitting at the table, and she doesn't even say anything, and nobody else says anything. But they clearly was talking about her when they was like, we need to arrange our own marriage, if you know what I'm saying.
Need to get to arranging.
And Alice
and put like this, and he didn't say this, but quote unquote, I tried to send your ass off so you can do it on your own, but you decided to come back early, so this is what the fuck you got.
Yeah, she done fucked up.
She'd have been better off if she'd have just stayed out there and kept the swiping.
Yeah, but I think the thing about Rhaenyra that just has to be realized is she does not want to have a kid. She is so traumatized by what happened to her mom.
Correct.
She just doesn't want to do shit that way. And it's not just a matter of like the Arya thing of she wants to be a boy and fight with, because she don't seem to have no training.
She was like, I've seen what happens in childbirth. My mama died pushing these kids out. I'm good.
Like, she's adventurous. She's still very much a princess though, and she's still very entitled and all this stuff. So honestly, I'll say this now. I'm surprised more people don't and I get why, because they're looking at the character and her wants. But to me, I think she would see as a blessing if Daemon or her brother did get the throne, because then she could go do whatever the fuck she wants to do. Like right now,
and nobody would care.
Right now, a lot of the responsibilities that they look at her for are so paramount because she's the heir. Now, I'm not saying she wouldn't have those responsibilities if she was just like a person that was, in line for a person that was also around the throne. But it wouldn't be the same pressure she has now, which is like, you need to marry this nigga politically, or like you like.
Yeah, it's like she don't get it. It's like, this is what we do, and I understand you want to fight the system, but you can't fight the system. Either you get along with the system, or else the system will move you out the way. Somebody else will get this seat, and we'll just keep it trucking without
like her
you.
Soft
You
ass,
can't have it both ways.
Her soft ass daddy would, in my opinion, if she wasn't the heir, her soft ass daddy would let her marry any motherfucking person she wanted.
Oh yes.
Like, he would just be like, all right, cool. Like, whatever makes my daughter happy, that's what I'm down with. And who gives a fuck? Okay, so my son is now that's cool. He the heir. Boom, take care of your little brother and everything. And just other than that, go fly your dragon.
Right.
Go fuck all the dudes.
If she didn't have a fit about wanting to be the next in line, that's exactly what would have happened, and everybody would have went on about their lives.
Right. So then in Alice's room, the nannies come as she is taking care of the newest baby, because she just popping them out, y'all.
Right. This was her second or third one.
Just at least second. So then she goes to bed. Then Rhaenyra goes to bed, and Sir Christian is guarding her door. He's like, "Good night, my lady," or whatever. She's like, "All right, man, have a good one." And she goes in, finds a note on her table, with a bag on her table with clothes and a note, and it's boy clothes. And we don't see the note, but it's from Uncle Damon, and it's, "We going to the strip club." He feels like the uncle that takes you to the fucking the strip club on your 18th birthday.
It give you your first drink, but I'm 18. It don't matter.
Yeah, like he has a very.
Here's some ones. What? I know nothing about bitches, sir. It don't matter. Just toss these ones, boy.
Right. Like it just definitely feels like of all the uncles, he's the uncle that's like, you just turned 18. I'm gonna get you your first piece of pussy. Like he's like the uncle that's over the top where you like, I don't think it's illegal for I don't think it's legal for us to do what we did today.
Yeah, I don't think we should be doing. And why are you exchanging money with this woman, sir? Like I'm very, very confused.
Go ahead, boy, have a drink. Come on out, nephew, come on out to the car. He's that uncle that takes you out to the car and
had that baby chest burning,
right?
And shit.
Drink some of this from this unlabeled bottle,
right? That shit like a cartoon and big ass 3 X's on it. You be like, am I gonna die?
Right. So then Rhaenyra discovers there's a secret passage hidden in the walls of her own fucking chambers.
And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that's how Damon been getting around, because when he got in the throne room, everybody's like, how he get in the throne room? Nobody fucking knew how he appeared there. And that's because he been going all these back passageways that he didn't tell nobody that he knew how to get around the castle.
This nigga is scary. And it's because of shit like this. He also got that fucking dragon egg in and out of there with nobody seeing. He know too much about sneaky shit like this, man.
Yeah,
and it's too much animosity between him and his brother, and him wanting that crown for them to just be like letting this nigga live.
Yeah, he's going to end up being a major problem.
Yeah,
and I would be surprised that he's one of the biggest reasons why everything burns to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also one of the things too, where you brought it up, when they've been having a meetings and he's not there, he been there, like you say.
We saw him listening.
Yes, and I was like, he probably do this shit all
this nigga is too. He know too much.
Yeah, sitting outside just listening.
He do too much. But here's the thing though, and this is something I think people need to recognize, not as a like approval thing, but as clearly a thing in this show. And it's been 4 weeks in a row at this point, or 3 out of the 4 weeks. Rhaenyra loves this uncle.
Her favorite uncle.
This her favorite. Like they have a kinship in their recklessness.
Yeah.
That is so like magnetic to each other. Like, and I don't even mean it on the like sexual component. That I get that, but I'm talking about when this motherfucker was out, when he was showboating during the joust, she was, oh, let's go, Damon. Like that's her fave. And this nigga is
because he goes against the grain.
He listened to her talk about being like stuck in the castle and not wanting duty and shit. So then he's like, let's sneak out their castle, girl. I got some peach schnapps. And so she's leaving the fucking castle to go to the strip club with this dude. She's exhilarated by it, and he's waiting on her with a hood, and they grabs her hand and they start walking out the castle.
Yes, and when I seen it was him, I immediately say, this is a motherfucking setup. I was like, but she just don't know it. Like, there's no reason for him to actually have her go outside of the castle other than he's setting her up for some bullshit.
And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even think it was a setup at first. That like he got me. Nigga got me. So then they go into King's Landing at night, and it's just all of the lights is fire breathers, people fucking in the streets.
Yes,
it was basically the internet before the internet.
Yeah, they're doing card tricks. They're out here playing Tonk and 21.
Somebody popped up and said, "Did you like to meet singles in your area?" It was,
yes, it did. They put like this. They are. Reach your hand out. They're not 3 feet. They are 3 feet away.
It was musicians.
They're playing dominoes and shit.
A drunk who stumbled into her and called her boy, which made her smile and laugh. She's like, he called me boy. Like she was so, her nose was wide the fuck open. It was a tightrope walker. Damon gave us some Hennessy, and a fortune teller was like, you want to know how you die? Which I was like, don't do that.
No,
okay.
Don't.
Cersei did that shit and fucked her whole life up.
Yes, she did.
You don't want to know.
Say no.
Back in the castle, Allison comes into the king's chambers. He's getting washed down by the servants because they can't even bathe themselves, these kings. And she pours some Epsom salt in the bath, like she pours some Epsom salt in the bath, and then she tells the attendants like, y'all can go ahead and leave. And then she starts, because he's clearly in pain from the dragon sugars, and his fingers are sore and his back is off. So She
over there mildewing and shit.
right. So then he starts she starts wiping him down, and shoulders, pants, chest, shoes. But she starts wiping him down, and
Wipe me down.
And he says, you have a far kinder touch than the servants. And I was like, because Allison is such a nice, good person.
Right.
You know?
They was like, I'm put out this, they like, I'm only here because I'm on the clock.
But it's also like sad because it's like, oh no, this might be making him feel like tonight's the night, So then in the square, we see Ray and Damon attend the play. The play mocks the secession of the crown, and it's a bunch of men, and that one of them dressed as Rhaenyra, one of them dressed as a baby brother, and it's all like, who's gonna be on the crown? And when they bring up the fact that the king chose Rhaenyra, and she's a woman, the women booed the loudest.
Yes, because it's one of those things where she has a disconnect, because she never leaves the castle, really. She has a disconnect between her and her high mightiness and how the people really feel. Like you said, you're not doing anything to win them over. You won't kiss the babies. You won't be seen in public. You don't do anything, and yet you want these people to turn around and love you and praise you.
That's everybody. The women booed the loudest. And I think that's because that was ye owed 53%, Karen. That was,
yes, it was
the original. I just don't trust her. It was, and so they booed the loudest, but they mocked everybody. They mocked the baby. They said all they had was a conqueror's name and a cock. They mocked Damon. They made him like a crybaby. And then they basically said she was soft. And it was like, how was she rude? And they was like, feeble. And so then she mocked it, but Damon was like,
yeah, she started booing. He was like, you're the only one booing out here, right?
Well, his thing was like, you think it's funny, but this how motherfuckers really feel about your ass.
Agreed.
And they want Aegon to be the king. And she was like, well, their wants are of no consequence. And he says, well, their wants matter if you expect to rule one day.
Agreed.
And the thing that I was thinking about that, though, is that is the opposite of everything Damon says. Damon is always like, nigga, you the king. Just do what the fuck you want to do. If I was king, I'd do what I want to do.
That's what he tells his brother all the time.
But when he's talking to her, all of a sudden it was like, oh, the people, they don't want you to, which I feel is like a stand-in to create doubt in her and all this stuff. Like, I think he's like, you should care about the people and how they feel about you, because I think that's when I was like, he's trying to play her for some angle. I just didn't know how far he would go.
Yeah, I don't know if he knew they was going to do the play. I don't know if he checked
I think he did.
Check the itinerary. And so it must be something where they must do this often. And he was like, you know what, tonight's play night. Let me go ahead and bring her out here to the play. And
so then it would have been funny if they would have did it Lin-Manuel Miranda style.
And they just started singing. I'd have been here for it.
Yeah. He would have came out, start rapping and shit. But yeah, so then now I just can't stop laughing.
And music would have started playing this shit.
A futuristic ass play in the middle of this old ass shit. Oh my god. But then she shoplifts some shit.
Yeah, and she went to go picture. I was like, bitch, you went out the house? He was like, you gotta pay for that. You can't just be picking up shit like we at the home.
Yeah, because she's wild. She wild.
And she's not even a good thief if she was trying to steal.
I mean, I think, she's just wild. She's out of the house. She's having fun. She's never been nowhere. This is like a Christian kid going away to college, and it's like, she will come home pregnant. That's just what's gonna happen, or he'll come home with a baby mama. Like, whatever. We just know they ain't never been out the house, and they need to sit their ass down a little bit, but they don't know that. And so she shoplifts, but Damon plays the part of like, because she gets it, and he goes, 4 Copper Street, right? It's King's Landing. We pay for our pleasures. And she looks at him and runs off, and the person's like, hey, and he's like, Damon's like, I'll find him, and chases after Rhaenyra. She runs until she bumps into Sir Harwin Breakbones, who was Lionel Strong's brother or some or her son or some shit.
And he gonna recognize her.
He recognizes her, but then she tells him to pretend he didn't, because once he sees like something's afoot, and he says, don't let it happen again or something, and walks off. And then Damon, who still doesn't know, like Damon is like, oh, you don't know it's me, because he has his hood on, and he walks past Breakbones and then goes over to her and goes like, girl, what you doing? Like, you know, and then he takes her hand again, and we see Allison take a drink and then go to bed, which made me wonder what's in the drink. Does she need that to go to sleep? Is she anxious every night? We know she got anxiety.
Yeah, she might be doing her own version of a hot toddy.
Yeah, who knows? But she goes to bed. Someone
because there's plenty of wine, because her husband, you know, her husband gets drunk.
Someone comes and knocks on the door. It's a woman who's like, the king says, you up?
She was the DM.
And Allison is like, the hour is late. And she says, well, pardon me, your grace, the Royal Cialis has kicked in. And
she was looking like, I would rather be sleeping too, but if I'm up, then you up, ma'am.
Your pussy is requested. That's really nothing I could do. Okay.
They came and got me, so I came and got you.
Right. She was like, ain't it kind of late for this? It's like, ma'am.
I was actually sleeping too, just so you know.
Ma'am, you know what this means. You know what this means, okay?
I would rather die.
That's how she looked. But she's got to do her duty. So, and yeah, something we found out later in this episode does make, I hope I can remember this. I'm going to write this down. But it does make me wonder if Allison was drinking like something that we see later. I'm writing it down now. All right, cool. So then they juxtapose this scene, and I love this choice creatively. They juxtapose this scene with Ray and Damon at the strip club, going to the ATL orgy, or what, going to the salt and pepper orgy, the Oregon orgy. Okay, it was nothing but whites. But they go to the orgy.
Instead of the Onyx, they went to the Pearl.
Yeah, they went to Club Pearl.
Club Pearl.
And Damon takes off his hood and then takes off Ray's hat and then leads her through the club.
On purpose.
Yes, on purpose. And like I said, I felt so stupid in this episode because I was like, what is he just? I thought, oh, here go these Targaryens. They be going acting reckless. And I had been looking at Damon. And this is my mistake. I've been looking at him like the Joker almost in The Dark Knight, which is the greatest comic book movie of all time before Black Panther happened. And I remember watching the Joker, and he gives this speech to Harvey Dent, and he's like, I'm not a planner or schemer. Batman and Gordon, they're schemers. I'm just like a dog chasing after a car. I wouldn't know what to do if I found it or whatever, right? And it turns out like, nigga, the whole movie is a Joker plan from the fucking first heist. He is a planner. He is a schemer. He just talk crazy. So you go, he not. I've been looking at Damon like, oh, he's not a planner or a schemer. He just fucking does things out of spite. He's crazy. No, this was a big ass plan and a scheme.
Yeah, like I didn't know
the second he set foot in King's Landing.
Yeah, it's like I said, I didn't know this was a part of it, but I was like, oh, if he's taking outside of the city, like,
and I'll take it further. I'll take it back one step. Maybe not from the second he stepped foot in King's Landing, but possibly, but definitely from the second he saw Rhaenyra's back.
Yeah,
he definitely said, I'm on fuck some shit up. Okay, he loves mess. Okay. And he had to do it.
Girl, I just want to let you girls know that I'm a real messy bitch. I'm a messy bitch who lives for drama.
So he knows people gonna watch and they gonna talk because it's the same fucking type of party, maybe even the same place where he fucked Missaria, and also where he said where people was watching, and when he said air for a day, and that shit made it back to Otto Hightower. So clearly this nigga
knows that whatever's happening here is going to make it back to the castle.
This shit is going to travel back. Word will get back. So she says, what is this place? He says, a place where people take what they want. And then they really do film this like it's a nightclub. Like it's super tight.
Boof, boof,
yeah, that's the only thing that was, yeah.
I was like, oh, it's plenty of drugs and shit up in this place. Everybody high.
Everybody was rolling, you know. So they get, he's like, place where people, she says, what is this place? A place where people take what they want. Fucking is a pleasure, you see, for women for the woman as it is for the man. A marriage is a duty, yes, but that doesn't stop you from doing what you want, fucking who we want. And then they start making out. And I get it, it's incest, it's not good. You're a great person, guys. This is an anti-incest podcast, all right, just putting it out there. But we also see this juxtaposed with Viserys.
These were two different views.
With his decaying back, humping away on Alicent, who has 1,000-yard stare.
Oh, yeah, she looks like I'd rather be anywhere but here. And it also goes to show not only was he getting nicked on his fingers, he was getting nicked on his back too from the fucking throne.
That's what I'm saying, decaying back, man. And she is just looking at the ceiling or whatever. And so it's kind of interesting in that we're seeing, so funny to say, but you're seeing like a consensual, incestual sex scene kind of thing, which is heavy making out with Rhaenyra and Daemon. Like she starts being into it. Like she's like, yes, uncle, finally. Meanwhile, you're seeing a consensual, in quotes, sex scene between Alicent and Viserys, who's an old king humping away on this young woman who's doing her duty to the realm to birth these fucking babies.
Yeah, and also it's one of those things where it showed the difference between one was having sex for pleasure and one was having sex for duty. And I think that was kind of the big thing. That was like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and it was just to see, it was like completely opposite type of view.
But it's interesting because one is incest.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's like, this show is gonna fuck with you, man. Like that's what people like about this show. I think is that it puts you in these moral quandaries, but at the same time, we all get to go back on Twitter and be like, but I would never. I would hope not.
Me too. I was right.
So anyway, Daemon and Rhaenyra start going hot and heavy, and then she gets so into it, he actually pulls back.
I think that was part of his plan.
You think so? You think pulling back was part of his plan? Yep. I don't. I think her being into it took away the power dynamic that he wanted. I think he was using her as a tool to, like, he would have, quote unquote, sullied her. He already sullied her reputation by taking off this shit. I think he would have completed the deal, but once it became about his lack of power, like she started exerting some level of agency, he was now repulsed by like this idea. It was no longer just his, just a thing he was doing to somebody. And I think that was an important moment in the show because it shows his true colors. Like he didn't give a fuck about her in that scene. It was literally when she started treating it as if this is both of us, he was like, oh shit. And he got the fuck out of there. I don't think he had a crisis of conscience or any of that.
I can see that. And I can also see him going, well, since this is something that you want and desire, I'm not going to give it to you because it's something that you want and desire.
But what would be the point of that then? We've also saw him be impotent with Mysaria when he was worried about being heir to the crown. He couldn't get it up anymore. And she said, do you want me to go get us a girl that looked like your niece and maybe you could get your dick hard again? And he was like, no. And then she started telling him how important he was and how he was still the heir.
Broken his ego.
I really think it's a psychological thing for him. And I think she took it. She didn't know, but she took it away the second she exhibited some agency. That's how I read it, but it could be exactly what you're saying, that he thought he was teasing her. But there's things that happen later that make me go, no, he wish he had finished the deal. His plan was to finish the deal so he could execute the rest of the plan, and he never did.
Right.
So then she now is pursuing him all horned up, and he leaves, and she's like even calls out his name, Daemon, which, oh my God, all these ears. And
because she don't know no better. She ain't got no home training.
She leaves. She no longer has her cap. She's dressed in Paige's clothes. And as she walks away, we see a little boy get up and follow after her.
I was like, yeah, you do know your hair stands out. He purposely took your cap off so you would be recognized.
And his own hoodie.
Yes, right. So everybody would see him and see you. So everybody's going to know that you were here and that you came out of the whorehouse.
Like I said, I feel stupid because I really thought like, oh, they just be acting reckless. And then later was like, oh, this nigga was planning. You know, salute, tip to the cap. Apparently you are much more calculated than I fucking thought. I really thought he was just a Tupac and Juice ass nigga. And he is, but he's also calculated. Meanwhile, after being humped on by this old man, Allison lays in bed picking at her nails, which we know she does when she's anxious, watching a rat at the top of the bedpost. And all I could think was poison him, girl. Poison his ass. Okay. How did he die? On top of me. That's gonna be you, girl.
Come on.
That's gonna be you. Don't.
That's what you're gonna be telling them in a ye old police report.
Baby. No, you put something in his tea. I don't know. But so the King's laid there sleeping like he put down to work. And Ray goes back to her room, storming past Sir Kristen, who's like, damn girl, you all right?
Because he was like, how are you on this side of the door when I just let you in the room and say good night? The fuck is this?
Dressed as a page, by the way. She didn't come back through the tunnel, meaning she walked by everybody that works at the fucking castle. Everybody done seen her dressed as a page coming from the city at the fucking late night hour.
Like a dumbass, instead of coming back in the way she went out.
Like, what?
He didn't take you out that way for no reason.
So he's like doing his duty. He's like, are you hurt? Are you injured? Because she didn't even speak when she came in. Probably because she was embarrassed and mad. And he's like, you know what? Let me alert the Lord Commander and let him know, like, you know, that some security shit is going on up in here. And then she opens the door and yanks his helmet away from him and starts playing this very childish game of like keep away with his helmet. And she's smiling all mysteriously.
And he's looking like, I gotta do my duty. Like, I need to be outside of this door, being sure nothing happens to you or anything else. But like this, if my walkie-talkie go off, I actually need to be on duty. I can't be here fucking around with you. Give me my helmet back, please.
He's at work.
He on the clock.
And this is gonna become it's one of those things that I think people will see differently because of the genders of the people involved. But it was like one of those things that is problematic, but people won't see it that way, which is fine.
Right.
Whatever. But this is a show with tons of problematic shit. I don't think it's like, you know, I don't think it's bad to that it has it. It's just pointing out it's harder for people to see it in certain angles. And so for her, she plays this childish keep away game with his helmet, then closes the door, seals him in. He comes to get his helmet. She kisses him, then drops the helmet on the ground and starts undressing. He says, stop.
Right.
She don't. And then she started taking him by the hand, leads him to the side, slowly starts taking off all his armor. And the whole time he looks a bit like confused. And of course, he's at work.
On the clock.
Also, and more importantly than him being at work and his duty, he can literally be killed for what's about to happen. Now,
I was like, if somebody walk in on y'all or anything, that's it for this nigga.
Keep in mind, like his because someone said, well, he said, you know, he you could feel like romance the week before. It's like I think they were trying to lead towards like shipping, quote unquote, but it can't happen because of all these rules. But most importantly, if you notice what he said about her, everything was very professional. Like, yes, because of you, you say you don't have power, my family is gonna change their station in life.
Her power.
You have like it was not but it wasn't just about power. It wasn't a girl, you look so beautiful and da da da. It was, listen, you are like powerful. You have changed my life, blah blah blah. But this same power can get him killed because he's not supposed to be fucking her. Period. And if anyone finds out, death penalty. You know what I mean? She's supposed to be promised to and married to some fucking lord with a house and bunch of shit. And if they find out this nigga been sampling the goods, it's over for him because she's a girl.
Right.
But at any rate, you know, it's still her exhibiting some level of agency. And I just don't think there's any sex on these shows that is quote unquote clean for the most part.
Right.
So 45 minutes of disrobing later because it's armor.
I mean, goddamn, they was taking off girders and underpants and,
Right.
and bloomers and shit. It was a whole ordeal.
And they finally fuck. And I think it's because she got a fetish for Dornish men after reading that book about Nymeria escaping to marry a nigga in Dorne for so many years. She was like, I'm gonna want some of this dark meat. And so they have sex and it's filmed, you know, not as pervy. I don't think any of the sex scenes, even like the orgy stuff, it was just filmed a lot more like sensual and stuff and I think they've been doing a good job with that this whole time. I think
Yes.
the only one that really looked creepy was supposed to be creepy with Viserys and his back.
Agreed.
You know, but anyway, so everyone in the castle still needs an HR training class. That's obvious.
Yes, HR.
And I mean, it was funny because what was he supposed to do? He can't really say no.
Right, because then it would have been a
And-
problem if you'd have made her upset.
Yeah, so it was what it was, you know. But I thought it was they did a good job. I also think it's interesting too because I think actresses are having more agency, and in the environment around the set is better. Even if I'm sure it's contentious and there's still people who are bad, it's better than it used to be because they film a lot of these scenes now where it's like quote unquote tasteful nudity, as opposed to like what normally seems to happen with these series is the first season, everybody got to show some titties and some ass and some dicks. It's just get them out there, let's go. And then as those actors blow up and they get more popular and they get more leverage, they can be like, I'm not doing that no more. You know, it's like the actress who played Daenerys on the first show. By the time you get to the end of them seasons, she's like, I'm not pulling my titties out. Y'all better write something around this.
You sure know better.
Yeah, so I think I like that it starts off that way now.
Yes, yes, and I appreciate that. And you know, as time goes on, you actually have people whose whole job it is. I'm pretty sure HBO can afford these people who are intimate coordinators. Like my whole job is to be sure that people are safe. My whole job is to be sure you close the set. Only people that need to be here are here and shit like that.
But yeah, so I think that, you know, like I said, I don't think any scene they really have filmed has been one of like, let's just overt brutality and whatever. I think obviously your background actors at orgies and shit is exactly just for the lens of like, look at all these titties and ass and dicks.
But they kind of faded in the background.
Yeah, but with the main characters or whatever. And so I just think pointing out the gray areas in this is not to vilify her, but just to point out us, you know. It's like that consensual incest was gross. The power dynamics of making this nigga come in here and fuck. I mean, not as gross, and I think that's what this show is.
Yeah, still a problem though. Still a problem.
The street urchin comes up to Otto Hightower to snitch. They like a messenger brings word from the White Worm. And I was like, is the White Worm the sex club? What's the White Worm?
I don't know.
I figured it out.
Who the worm?
I'll bring it up in a second. I'm a professional. And so it's like, he brings a message from the White Worm. We see it's that same little boy. They don't show what he says. And in the morning, Damon wakes up to Massaria making him a Bloody Mary. And he is laying on a mattress on the floor like most of Black Twitter in 2010.
Oh no.
But then they go out and take pictures on Instagram at the beach. That's what's really going on, y'all. Don't let them influence you. And he asked, am I your prisoner? And she is like, as I was once yours. And
I was like, oh, they're not together no more.
Right. They didn't last through the war.
Because she told him, she was like, look, I only was with you, so I didn't have to feel nothing. You out here fucking wilding out, saying shit, talking about we gonna have babies, but I can't have no kids. You gonna fucking get me killed. The fuck I'm with you for? I'm good. And you know when she went back, she was like, I'm gonna go to the whorehouse, and guess what? I'm out fucking run the whorehouse.
Well, I don't think she's necessarily running the whorehouse. But she gives him this Bloody Mary, and he's like, he pours it out on the ground without drinking and says, I don't need protection from a common whore. And she was like, I'm not so common. I have left that life behind. I have learned that the skin trade can only carry me so far in this life. And we see the snitch kid give her the money
that she got. So I think that she has something to do with that too.
I think she's the white worm.
That makes sense.
Right. I think she trades in secrets and shit now. I don't even know if she's running the brothel or if she is doing any sexual stuff. She may or may not.
Right.
But
so
she definitely got paid in secrets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So she probably have like several people and kids and shit give her information and she pays.
She was
them.
wearing white. So I think she the white worm.
That makes sense.
But she says hard lessons are not welcome but suffered, and then she leaves him and tells him to pay for his room on the way out as he's trying to say her name, but he's so hungover he can't. He's like, Mr. And she's like, I don't care, do you? And then she leaves.
She's like, kiss my whorish ass, and she just walks upstairs.
And then Otto, we cut to his room, and he is contemplating hard as fuck, thinking about the hardest shit he's about to ever have to do, because he knows this secret. So he goes in the king's chamber to tell him that his daughter is for the streets.
Street life.
He's like, King, I got something to tell you, man. You might want to sit down for this. And the king is like, oh, the sea snake, what this nigga done did? He's like,
not about the sea snake, my nigga. No,
it's not. It's not.
It was like, what? Why? What? Okay, you got me up at this time of the hour. What the fuck is happening?
And so he says, it's your daughter. And he said, oh, did something happen to my daughter? What? Somebody did something? He's like, it's not that. It's no easy thing to tell a father of his daughter's exploits. And I considered not saying anything. Your daughter was in the whole house doing behaviors with her uncle.
He was like, behaviors? What behaviors?
Unbecoming of a maiden and a princess.
He was like, I'm gonna need details. If
you gonna make me say it?
He was like, if
they was coupling, my lord, your daughter, she's on 4K, she's in these streets.
Right. He was like, if you gonna come out and say it with your chest. Don't be half-assing it.
But he knew not to say. He knew why not to say it, because this man couldn't handle it. So as soon as he said it, Viserys like, that's cap.
Fake news.
I don't believe it. My wife, no, my daughter would not have been out here in these streets. And Otto's like, I got it on good authority. And Viserys like, tell me who said it. I'll take their motherfucking eyes out. And then Otto was like, nigga, I need my sources first of all. And the servants also clocked her doing a walk of shame back to the motherfucking castle in boy clothes after she was sexting in the juke joint. Okay, she left the premises dressed as a page during the hour of the owl, aka demon time, nigga. Your daughter is a hoe. And Allison is in the background just eating popcorn, ear hustling.
Right.
And Viserys is like, nigga, this just you trying to get your grandson on the throne. You know, you just following my daughter around, hoping she'll fuck up. So then they could, I caught your daughter out here. She fucking and shit. Now I gotta put your grandson on the throne. Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, that's the only reason why you came in here.
You think yourself a cunning man? Your designs are obvious. Do you wish to have your blood on the Iron Throne so badly that you are willing to destroy mine own? Just get out. Leave me at once. And I was thinking to myself, so he do know. Okay, because for several weeks, I've been like,
you can't be this slow.
Is Viserys the most patient man to have the crown or the dumbest? And I'm leaning towards the most patient, because only a fool can't see Otto's machination. He doesn't play chess. He plays motherfucking goldfish. He plays I declare war. There's no strategy to what this man does. And
He's
finally
playing Connect Four.
So basically what we found out is Viserys been tolerating it, and I respect that. I respect that. That's different than if he would have been like, damn nigga, you want your son on the crown? I had no idea. He's like, I know what you want. You're not smart. Anyway, Allison has seen it. The king turned around. He see Allison has seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that scene in Happy Gilmore with what's that dude? Lee. Hold on, let me. I have to get this right. Lee Trevino. Oh man, look up that gif, y'all. But it's like like she looked like Lee Trevino when he turned around. Like, what is happening up in here? Okay, so then Allison, we cut to Renaria. I'm sorry, Renaria, who fresh off of just having this wild ass night, is sitting up in her room, combing her hair, dancing.
Right.
She like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? We out here, we living.
Yes, girl, living my best life.
This what we do.
Real ass bitch, give a fuck about a nigga.
Just got some of that night dick. Oh, hey, fuck 2 niggas last night. Oh,
she's having a time of her life in the background, combing her hair.
Just dancing in the window. And then Sir Kristen comes in and it's awkward.
He looks frightened,
which is another reason I just don't read this scene as like the romantic way that people I think are reading it. It's like this nigga showed up and he didn't even look like my baby, my darling. He looked like, okay, hey, so
I don't want to do anything to piss you off, but your daddy called you.
Yeah, oh God. And I feel so bad for this nigga.
Because he was like, I hope ain't nothing go down. They ain't find out about us.
Right.
And now I got to turn around and get my fucking head chopped off.
He involved with this messy ass family. Thought he had came up, thought generations of his family came up. He could end up with his head on chopping block just for the wrong secret popping up.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, what's up? You said the queen won't talk to you. She go down to the garden. Allison come out. She like, love should have brought your ass home last night. Where were you?
Like, what do you mean? Where was I? I don't know what you're talking about.
And Rhaenyra's no longer wearing her uncle necklace anymore.
Just first time she actually been seen without it. Yeah.
And he's like, Allison's like, my daddy said you was with your uncle last night in the club. And Rhaenyra's like, girl, you know, I hadn't seen him in years. We just went to the city for some fun. Allison's like, tell the truth. And she was like, Rhaenyra's like, what truth? That I drank some wine? That I left the castle after dark? I mean, oh, you got me. And she was like, no, that you fucked Damon at the pleasure house. And Rhaenyra turned into just a dude on Love and Hip Hop. She's like, wow. Oh.
That's wow. You gonna believe the streets? You gonna believe what they told you?
Just because they had me in the scene before the commercial break in 4K fucking this other woman at the strip club, you just gonna believe that shit? That's what kind of marriage we got. Wow. So you're not gonna wait till the end of the season reunion when they pull up the footage and then you get to see it for yourself and then accuse me of cheating? Wow, that's a vile accusation you making right there. You sure you want to go down that route?
Exactly what she said.
And then she was like, is it a vile accusation? Because we know y'all Targaryens have queer customs. Talking about that cess, y'all. Okay.
Everybody know how y'all get down.
And then Ray turns on the waterworks trying to save her life. And let me tell you, the respect I had for this, it lifted. Like, it was like sneaking in past curfew and convincing your parents your car broke down or some shit. Like, she did that. I'm not saying it's good.
She started playing the game because at first she was like, I don't want to play. Like, she did everything not to play the game.
She played that game, though. She gaslit the fuck out of Allison. She was like, oh, who makes these claims? To your father. And then she was like, don't worry about how my dad know about it. She's like, oh, so you using slander? You didn't even hear this? You trying to get one of these lawsuits like Nicki Minaj? Because I'll fucking sue your ass. And she was like, you do realize questioning my virginity, my virtue, is an act of treason? You treasonous bitch. You and your treasonous daddy. And then that's when Alice is like, well, I didn't see it myself, but I overheard my dad saying he had heard something. And he told your dad.
This is third party?
And Ray then says, look, we went out, ordered drinks, drank them, got drunk, went to a show in the brothel. We didn't do nothing but watch. Damon left me to be with some whore, and I should have known better. And I swear on my mama, I didn't fuck that uncle. And then that was when Allison was like, I believe you. Stop crying. You know you shouldn't have put yourself in that position. That was foolish. Because you know if your virtue could be questioned, it's gonna fuck you up. The king has strived to find you a good match, and so have I. And if that Lord knew you had been sullied, it would have ruined everything. So
Right, and it's one of those things where Rhaenyra was so wrapped up in her own world that she like, hey dog, like your daddy has been trying to do everything he can. I've been trying, and you out here just continually doing the dumbest shit you could possibly do. You complain that you want the crown, you won't do your duties, you won't pick a man, you won't do shit but complain. And then we got to hear about you out here at the goddamn whorehouse. Like, come on now, you got to give us something to work with. Shit.
Rhaenyra want what she want. That's just all it is. Like I think she's a lot like Daemon. She's not really like her father.
Mm-mm.
She's very much like, I want to do bad things with my friends, you know.
I want to do hood rat things with my hood rat friends.
Like that's just what it is. And so she then apologizes to Alicent because the lie has worked. And then technically, we're saying lie. She did not fuck Daemon.
No, she didn't.
So technically, it's not a lie. But she wanted to and would have.
Mm-hmm. If he would have pursued, she would have. Yeah.
And she still besmirched her name and reputation enough that the realm thinks she fucked her uncle and in the fucking orgy club. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's enough. They don't really need to know the technical details.
You were there, and that's what they do in these whorehouses. They fuck.
This ain't 2022, okay?
Mm-mm.
Also, shame on any of you niggas that watch Euphoria, but then got the nerve to clutch your pearls at this shit. Anyway, back to this. So she was like, "I know, Your Grace. I regret it." Now, this is a theory I heard when I was on. I was in a Twitter Spaces with Fantastic Frankie. She does like a Twitter Spaces, I think Mondays or Tuesdays where they talk about Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. And so I got to hang out with her, broke my Twitter Spaces virginity, but in a consensual way with no weird power dynamics. Anyway, she brought up that in the first episode, they kind of make it seem like Rhaenyra and Alicent almost could be having a romantic relationship, like not just friends, but some of the ways they do the staging and blocking and they dress each other and stuff. That is, you know, the way they frolic and hold hands, like it's almost like a sexual thing. Of course, not sexual, romantic, because they're little girls or whatever, right? And so she was saying maybe this could be Alicent upset in a more like in a romantic way. Like, how can you just go out and fuck your uncle or fuck somebody else or blah blah blah? What do you think?
I doubt that. I think that they really close friends. Like they were literally best friends. Like they probably spent time with each other more than anybody else. And after a while, you're gonna grow this closeness with somebody. And like you said, it doesn't always have to lead to that. I truly think that she was upset. Mm-hmm. I truly think that she feel like, well, god damn, like I am here because my daddy forced me to be here. So I'm going to do the best I can in this situation. I already ain't got no friends. Everybody look at me. You my only fucking friend. Don't make it where I have to lose you too because you out here fucking around.
Yeah. And so I'm with you. I think that. And I think also Rhaenyra's value is inextricably linked to her virtue. Mm-hmm. And her hurting her standing hurts the crown, hurts her father, hurts the kingdom, hurts the realm, hurts herself as an heir. There's no one who is emboldened or put in a better position from her being out in these streets, because then you just sully your reputation enough that you can't make these strong political marriages and arrangements and business opportunities and stuff. So I really think it was that simple. And I think Alicent has been advocating for her as much as she can to have a choice. And Rhaenyra's been like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to just go out and do what the fuck I want to do, when I want to do it, where I want to do it. And y'all can't do shit.
Right.
And no.
Yeah, Alicent is like, okay, you're gonna make it where I have to turn on you. I am the one who's been doing a lot of shit behind the scenes that you haven't been seeing, that you've been fucking taking for granted. You've been treating me bad. You've been at any period of time, she could have been like, fuck that bitch. But she was still trying to advocate for her and push for her to be a good queen. Like if she was like, fuck you, she'd have been like, yeah, my son gonna be on throne. I don't give a fuck what you got to say, bitch, because you out here acting a whole ass motherfucking fool.
She a real one.
Right.
Allison a real one, because I would have been turned on Rhaenyra ass and put my son on the throne, because she be doing too much. Too unstable.
If you won't do what you want to do, you can't do that and have the throne too.
So then the king guards grab Daemon, and he's so drunk he can't even really fucking walk. Like they just grab. I don't even know if they arranged to grab him, if they just knew he was walking down 7th Street. I don't know.
Somebody reported it's a drunk man down the street. Oh, that's him. Pick him up.
They just followed the smell of fucking Boone's Farm and just yanked his ass up, dragging him into the throne room.
And the 40 he was drinking.
Dragging him into the throne room in a hungover state. And he's left there. And the king, listen, y'all, the king dressed in all black comes out of the shadows like fucking Batman.
Yeah, because he walked in. I was like, there's nobody sitting on thrones. Like, is the nigga in the room?
He was on some sweater me shit. Like, if you, matter of fact, you know what the vibe of this scene was?
You fucked up big time. You're incapable of running this shit. Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
That's what the vibe of this scene was. This whole scene was Nino after the Carter got raided. My man. I mean, listen, he might not be the strongest king, but when he put on that all black and get his sword out, his good sword out, okay?
The good sword. You know, I put like this. You know what I mean when I put a good sword out, I ain't got all my goddamn fingers.
Right. And so Viserys is like, what's up with you and my daughter? He's like, what do you mean? I have to know the accusation before I can contest it. And he kicked that nigga in the ribs and said, you defiled her. And then his brother was like, man, why you tripping? We used to fuck hoes all the time when we was coming up. We fucked all the hoes on that street. Why you pressed? And then the king was like, we was men. She a girl. She your niece. You know girls got different rules, nigga. And then Daemon was like, well, you know, she a grown ass woman to me, and better for her first experience to be with me than some whore. And Viserys is like, you have ruined her. What lords will marry her now in her condition? And then this is the part where I'm like, I do have to give Daemon some credit, because Daemon, in my opinion, would be a stronger king even though he'd be a worse person for the realm.
Agreed.
Because Daemon says, who give a fuck what them lords think? You the dragon. You tell them what the truth is, and they better fight on that lie, because it's you. And I'm like, that's a good point. That's a good point. You know who else understood that? Cersei understood that.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, do what the fuck I say. I'm at the throne now. Like, they gonna do what they gonna do. And if ain't nobody come up with no motherfucking dragons, I'd still be on the throne. Because that's what the throne is. The throne is the truth. I said them are Robert Baratheon's babies, not incest babies. Everybody's like, I guess they gotta be.
I guess if you say so.
That's what she say.
I mean, if she say, fuck, even though they look exactly like
they all
y'all
got blonde hair, and one of them's named Jamie II, but okay.
I mean, if you say so, I mean, that's a we're writing the ledger.
Right. And so she did understand that. And I think, like I said, I'm not saying, I don't think he'd be a good king, but Daemon, whenever he says that specific thing to Viserys and Rhaenyra, I'm always like, he is right. We've seen enough examples of motherfuckers being like, because I said so. And everybody's like, oh, that is right. You the king. My bad.
Yeah, that's right.
Anybody else want to die? No. Everybody good?
Yeah, we good. Okay. We good. All right. Break.
Back to the party. So anyway, he was like, man, you just tell him what to think. And Viserys was like, listen, I had your back our entire lives. Everybody's like, your brother ain't shit. And I'm like, look how you doing me. Your heart is even blacker than I thought. I should disown her like I disowned you. That's what Daddy would have did. And Daemon was like, let me marry the bitch then. And he was like,
he's not making it any better.
He said, when I offered up my crown, you said I could have anything. And I'll just wear her as is. I don't care that she's not a maiden no more. It's just like our ancestors used to do back in the day. You know, good women back in the day. Okay, granddaddy could cheat in 2 towns over, and your grandmama stay with him. You know, he was hyping that up.
You know how they used to do.
Mhm.
They ain't have all these fancy telephones and messages and shit.
Okay, listen, you slap
nobody sliding all up in your DMs.
You slap her on Tuesday, you come home Wednesday. I don't see what the problem is, you know. And Viserys got so mad, he put his blade to Daemon's throat because he's like, nigga, you already got a wife.
Like, right, a whole ass wife.
And he was like, oh, nigga, you bring up old shit. Listen, I want to take it back to the days like Aegon the Conqueror, our ancestor. He was marrying multiple wives. Ain't nobody have a problem with that. And Viserys like, you ain't no conqueror. You are a plague sent to destroy me. And then Daemon's like, nah, I can return us to the proper glory. Okay, we have all this Targaryen incest blood, and everybody had to bow down to the crown. And that's when Viserys realized, and to a lesser extent, me as well. Like I said, they got me this episode. Okay, I got to be honest in full disclosure. This nigga had this plan the whole fucking time. It was just to besmirch her name, lower the king's standing, and then force it into a situation where the king has no choice but to fucking marry Rhaenyra off to Daemon. And honest to God, if Daemon would have been able to keep it up, I really think the plan goes all the way through. He just literally could not finish the deal. He definitely went in there and lied like he did. He never denied that he didn't have sex with her.
Right.
Even though we saw that they didn't
have sex.
So I think that was the plan. I don't think he had an attack of conscience, because if you have an attack of conscience, in this moment you go, I couldn't go through with it, brother. You right. It was wrong. He don't care about her. He want that fucking throne.
I didn't know this was the purpose, but I was like, I knew something didn't feel right, and it was like, yeah, that was the whole purpose. I was like, I hope you don't think he's gonna do that, sir.
Yeah, I was looking at him like Tupac and Juice, like, oh, you can't do a robbery with Tupac because Tupac gonna shoot somebody. Do I think Tupac woke up and planned to shoot somebody? No. I don't look at him that more. Now I look at him like the Joker in Dark Knight. He planned to shoot that person. And he planned for you to think that he didn't plan that shit, but he did plan that shit. So then he's like, this is where Viserys, I can't ride with you, because he's like, it's a plan. You just want to get on the throne, get the fuck out of King's Landing, go back to the Vale and your lawful wife. And I said, how do you not throw him in the dungeon minimum, kill him maximum? This is now the second or third fucking time this dude has done some wild shit, and you are sitting up here quibbling over, kill this nigga.
He took over the fucking police department
that he gave him on the police department.
Right.
Like, that was their way of trying to like keep him in line, and he went and did a fucking dick cutting competition. Like, why the fuck is this man alive?
Yes, and you know what? And every time they send him away with a goddamn dragon, because he gonna get on his dragon plane and fly home, and we gonna fucking forget about this nigga. And
what does he have to do?
I don't know.
What does he have to do?
I wonder what he's gonna do today. I wonder what he's gonna do tomorrow. This guy just pissing. He's pissing all over us. He's pissing on you. What does it taste like? What does it taste like? Because you know what? It tastes like piss to me.
That's how I felt. Honestly, so I told you that I don't think it's possible to truly, I mean, it's possible, but Otto is the one character they've written so far that I'm like, probably the vast majority of people watching the show just hate him. This is the way you redeem Otto, because he has been right about at least one thing, which is Daemon is a danger to everybody, and you keep being soft on this nigga. How much fucking worse does it have to get? This nigga took your daughter and embarrassed her in the orgy party, about to fuck up the whole realm just so he could be on the fucking crown, on the throne, just to be the husband to the heir, which makes him back to being the heir.
Right. And also it's one of them things where it's like game recognized game. Otto was like, this nigga up to something. I don't know what he up to, but he up to something.
I just well, Otto wasn't in there, but he's always
but that's why he's
always
actually
been on point,
pointing him out, because he was like, yeah, you're doing something. Don't know what you're doing. I'm out here doing shit too, putting my daughter up to the king. So we all out here scheming, but I recognize that you scheming too.
How I felt about this nigga, Viserys?
He can't do shit. He wouldn't be able to get nothing done. So why is he running?
Exactly. And also, lastly, how did Daemon act when they brought up Rhaenyra?
Then she turn around and she giving the booty to some other cat. Nah, it ain't going down like that. I can't have it. That's only my booty. Nobody else's booty.
All right, so he kicks him out. Then later we see Alicent tell Viserys to believe Rhaenyra and not Daemon, because Daemon is a known liar. And he says, but what purpose does he have to lie about fucking my daughter? And she said, to reduce you. And I said, ooh, she is good. Because that he would lie to reduce this man, even though, and he did technically lie to reduce this man. He did not have sex with her.
But he was like, if that's what the streets is saying.
Right. So he says, well, whatever happened, the king is like, whatever happened, Rhaenyra is not innocent.
Right.
Okay. She got the blood of the dragon, and that shit do be making people crazy.
Yeah. And also he tell her, like, y'all act the same. Like, his whole thing is like, I chose you because I was like, you ain't out here wilding, but you are just as defiant as he is. Like, the fuck is wrong with you?
And so Alicent says, look, Daemon just tried to corrupt her. That don't mean she lied. She says she's still a maiden, and I believe her. And so then Rey is escorted to the king's chamber by her king's guard, and Sir Criston is the one that lets her in the room. And I'm like, I know this nigga wish he had a cup to listen to the motherfucking inside of that conversation. Woo! I know he nervous because all these secret conversations happening around her fucking, and he think like he don't necessarily know what's happening in the rooms.
He's like, next thing you know, I'll be pulled in there, and it's gonna be a fucking problem.
Right? He one fucking outburst from. See, this is the fuck. You have sex with some crazy person like this, and now you one fucking outburst from them crazy motherfuckers being like, and that's why I fucked Sir Criston. So you can't sell me. And then it's like, oh, word, Sir Criston, can you come to the office real quick? Everybody pull out the beheading chairs. Like, get the fuck. So I know he nervous.
Pull out the guillotine.
But yeah, so she goes on to, there's like a dagger sitting in the fire, and it's the same dagger that shanked the Night King's icy guts. But Viserys popped out the shadows again like Batman. Well, right before she could touch the dagger, and it was like, that dagger belonged to your great granddaddy and your great great granddaddy. And before that, who fucking knows? It's crazy. We don't even, that's how far back it go. And it's like, he said he put a inscription on the blade, and she read it, and it was like, from my blood comes a prince who was promised, and his will be the song of ice and fire. And he said, the responsibility I've handed to you, the burden of this knowledge is larger than the throne. The king is larger than you and your desires and you and your little friends. Okay. You know, Jay Harris would have motherfucking disowned your ass.
Yeah, he acting the fool in the streets.
Right, you went all out to the motherfucking King's Landing.
And you're down in Baltimore having big fun, weren't you, Vanessa? Isn't that where you were? Didn't you go down there to Baltimore and have big fun, Vanessa? Tell me, didn't you go for big fun?
She was having big fun, and he didn't like it. And so he was like, your granddaddy would have disinherited your ass. And she was like, for a lie, you didn't even ask me what happened. He said, because it don't matter.
Right, because it don't matter.
Everybody think you was fucking in the club in 4K. Yeah. You done expose yourself, and now we both gotta suffer the consequences.
Yes, and people seen you there, so it don't matter.
She was like, well, if I was a man, I could have all kinds of motherfucking break babies. I could be out here like Nick Cannon. Nobody would say shit.
He was like, but bitch, you ain't. So
but you not Nick Cannon.
Tell you.
Okay, Nick Cannon's hilarious, but you not. Your courtship is over, and you gonna wed Lenore, and I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing about it.
Right, because you drove me to this point because I gave you a choice. You cut your fuck. If you would have fucking stayed away, your fucking ass wouldn't be here, and we'd have been fine. But you decided you had to bring your ass back home, and here we are, bitch. The choices are off the table now.
It is cuffed girls winter. Okay, it is. You are in the house now, and so she was like, I could be a remedy for your political headaches, and he said, you are my political headache,
and that's the truth.
You gonna get married and bring both the houses together for a generation? I don't want to hear shit. And she was like, oh, okay. So then what about Otto? You talk all this shit. You know he want Aegon to be the heir, and he won't stop until it happens. This nigga follow me around trying to catch some shit and destroy me, and you talk all this shit about this, but your most trusted advisor is self-interested. And he was like, girl, everybody at the fucking meeting is self-interested.
Right, why else would
that
they
ain't
here?
you. And she was like, nah, I don't agree. You need to fire Otto.
She's like, you fire Otto, then I marry that nigga.
Right. And he was like, nah, Otto.
Oh shit, hold on. I didn't know that nigga was your daddy.
That's how she was acting to him. And so he was like, fine then. I'll fire his ass and leave me alone. And so then he brings Otto into the meeting.
Otto did not see this coming.
Otto was like, yes, your grace. I guess you found out she was fucking in 4K. I told you, I'm sorry that you had to go this way. And he's like, 5 days. It was like 5 days of what, your grace? And he was like, that's how long my daddy was the hand of the king and the heir to the throne. And then he died from a burst belly 5 days later. Mighty fucking suspicious. And you know what happened that day? He's like, I remember that day. It was very sad. It's like, it was sad, except it was a great day for you, because then you got to become the hand of the king. And he's like, well, what you trying to say, your grace? And he was like, I'm just saying, like, you taught me to be king. You've been a great hand for 2 generations, but when did you start choosing yourself over your king? And he's like, what you mean? It's like, you know, when you sent your daughter in there to be a calculated distraction. But now I look back and I realize it was even more calculated than I thought. And he was like, I know your queen loves you as you love her. And he was like, I can't trust you. Judgment being compromised. All you trying to do is get your own babies on the throne. And so then Otto was like, but my job is to tell you, look, I know this really about your daughter. My job is to tell you the truth, even when it's not comfortable. And Viserys takes off the pin of the hand off of the robe of Otto and says, you're fired. Get out.
Your services are no longer needed.
Yes. Your services to the crown are no longer needed. We'll never be able to pay you back for great debt, but you gotta get the fuck out. And so Otto's fired, and I think that makes him more dangerous.
Yes, sir. Because all these connections and all this shit, like, he's basically gonna go underground and he's going to cause a fucking problem.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where it would not be surprising if some period of time him and the black dude, the sea snake and all them start getting up and he start reaching out to Damon and shit because he's mad.
You can't fire a nigga from scheming. And if you start looking at the
because he's like the pre-internet, anything that happens roll through him, and them people still gonna go to him. He's still gonna hear shit.
Possibly. But the thing I will say is this. If you go back to episode 1, you now have like about 3 people at least that were on that high council who directly now have reasons to not fuck with the king. Corlys, Otto, and Damon. Now would be insane if Damon and Otto became strange bedfellows, but I don't put nothing past this fucking show. Like, who knows? That desperation brings some strange motherfuckers together. Okay. So then
he was like, I lost my job and you want the throne, whatever it takes to get you there so I can be the hand again and get my power back.
Something. I don't put nothing past these niggas.
I can see him doing some shit like that.
Yeah. They fuck around and pan over and be motherfucking Otto sitting next to him at the table.
Otto be out on a boat somewhere.
Right. Like, just marry my daughter and you can have the crown. I don't give a fuck. But later we see Grandmaster Mellows bring some tea to Rhaenyra's room, and she don't understand what it's for. And he's talking in innuendos, like, for any unwanted consequences of your night.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the king sent it. This is important because there were so many people speculating like, oh, this is Otto. Don't drink the tea. He gonna kill you. And I said, no. That's, to me, that fine if that's what you believe. Don't write in. I don't give a fuck. But I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think the obvious point of this scene is to say the king did not believe her.
No, he didn't, because he basically, when he was talking to Allison, he was telling her, he was like, hey, dog, like, she's not innocent. Like, she did something.
And it's not that the king doesn't believe, the king don't know about Sir Kristen.
Mm-mm.
The king believes she fucked her uncle, dog.
Correct.
He thinks she lied about that shit. That's what this scene. Now, she still need the plan T, because before plan B, it was plan T. She still needs this plan T.
Because the Meister was like, bitch, this shit is hard to make. I've been bubbling this shit for hours. You gonna drink this shit.
Yeah, he didn't like stop and watch her drink it, which would have been a way to determine, I guess, if she, like, it could have been a test to be like, she drank it, my lord, so that means she really did fuck her uncle. But it didn't seem like he like stayed to see. He just it's like, to me, it was worse than staying to see. It's worse than a test. You already failed the test. They don't believe you.
No, they don't.
Like, I saw people saying like, I wouldn't drink it just because it's a test. I'm like, here's the thing, Rhaenyra, if she's walking around with a gut full of coal,
right? Because it don't look like he pulled out.
And we know Yale condoms, the Trojans was a different type of Trojan back then.
Yes, it was.
If she has a gut full of coal, it would be incongruent. I would actually hate the writing for this. It would be completely incongruent with this TV show. Is if this one character whose whole thing is, I don't want to risk my life in childbirth.
Right. Whole thing. I don't want to be pregnant.
Was like, but for coal, I'll do it. I just fuck it. Why not? You know, I think she drank the tea.
I do too.
Because I just can't imagine why she wouldn't. You know, like, her ass would drink the tea every night if she could. She'd be like, just give me some tea. And it made me wonder if Allison was drinking some earlier before she went to bed. Now, I don't know, because it didn't look like a teacup, kind of, but it looked like something.
You never know. It's like, she might have been like, okay, I'm tired of having these babies.
Yeah, so I wonder if even Allison is like, yeah, I'm done with this, man. Like, this shit is whack. You know?
Yeah,
like,
you got your boy. Damn.
Right. So yeah, I think she does, but I also think this now means a trust has been lost between her and her father. He does not believe her. But shout out to the real MVP of this episode, Corliss. Wasn't in the episode in one frame. Controlled everything that happened this week.
He did, didn't he?
Motherfucker, he said, I'm rich. I don't need to take this shit. I'm going back home. I'm starting my own. I'm wearing my daughter off to some other royalty. Let me know when y'all ready to stop acting like bitches and go ahead and get married. I mean, listen, a king. He did that shit.
Yes, he did.
All right. What are you looking forward to next week?
To see the fallout. Because the way they were showing, looked like we're gonna have an announcement, a wedding, a ceremony, or something, man.
Yeah, like they going over there to the Sea Snake, and part of that clip looked like they was up in that club. Like,
they was out. Yes.
It was fighting up in that way.
I mean, it was J.O. fighting. They was like, you gonna get these blows. I was like, well, goddamn, we can't never have no good wedding.
Nah, it's the black and blue wedding.
Yeah, wasn't it though?
They was throwing hands. It was like, people will challenge. And I saw Otto was still scheming, telling Allison, like, prepare Aegon for the throne.
I was like, yeah, he gonna be a problem. And he probably, she probably had to come and meet him outside because he can't come into the castle.
Right. The king looked like he was taking an ice bath or some shit, like Paul Pierce during the finals against LA that year. Like, the drama of these whites. These whites are so dramatic and so good. So, yep, I'm ready for it, man. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. I told you it'd be a long one. There was a lot to recap.
It was.
But hopefully y'all enjoy it. Keep sharing it. We love when y'all quote us on Twitter and stuff. And lastly, big announcement. Check out our store on Teepublic. The link is always in the show notes. We got brand new artwork for house tips with our own sigil.
Yay!
Yes, Nucket thou bucket. Okay, check it out and wear and rep
Yeah, and
for us.
also if you're on Spotify, we actually have like a separate what do you call it?
It's a playlist
right.
for our House of the Dragon recaps. And if I'll post it on our social media, or I'll put a link in the show notes. So if you just want to only listen to that, you can listen to those. We'll keep them in one place. And you can share it to friends and be like, go listen to the best recap out here in the game, because that's how I feel we are. Okay, every week. We'll be back. Until next week. I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody.